Trying to get off opiates at home? Then hear this first. The worst time to make your plan is after withdrawal starts, because once it hits, your body wants relief, your mind starts bargaining, and every weak point in your routine gets exposed. What feels impossible in that moment often comes down to one brutal mistake. You tried to improvise something that should have been planned. So in this video, I'm not giving you vague motivation, I'm giving you structure. We're going to cover the mindset you need first, why tapering matters, how to support your body, how to prepare your environment, what a detox day can actually look like, and what it takes to stay clean after the worst symptoms pass. This is not about fantasy. This is about preparation, and preparation gives you a better chance to get through something very hard with less chaos. A lot of people think detox fails because they are weak. That is not the right frame. More often, it fails because the process was not built to survive pressure. No written plan, no schedule, no food ready, no hydration, no time off, no structure for the hours when symptoms get worse. Then withdrawal starts, and now the person is trying to think clearly while feeling sick, restless, drained, and emotionally raw. That is a bad time to be making decisions. So the real shift is this. Stop treating detox like a single moment. Start treating it like an operation. You prepare for it. You reduce friction. You remove surprises. You create a system that can carry you when motivation collapses. Once you understand that, you stop gambling, and you start building something that can actually hold up. Before tapering, before shopping, before exercise, before any of it, you need a decision, not a wish, not, I should probably quit, a real decision. The kind that becomes non-negotiable. If your language is soft, your follow-through will be soft. So don't frame this as something you might do when the mood is right. Frame it as something that must happen. Take a pen and paper and write down every reason you need to get off opioids. Not in your head, on paper. Because your brain changes when withdrawal begins. The reasons that feel obvious today and feel distant tomorrow. So write them down now. Your health, your future, your peace, your energy, your freedom. And if you've tried before and failed, do not use that as proof that you can't do it. Use it as data. Failure is not the identity. It is feedback. Learn from it. Adjust. Try again with more structure. That is how people eventually win. If you want to make home detox more tolerable, one of the smartest moves is tapering. Tapering means systematically reducing the amount you take over time. Why does that matter? Because going from full use to zero overnight hits the body like a shock wave. Tapering lowers that shock. It gives your system time to adjust in stages instead of all at once. And there are 4 rules here. Rule 1. Go slow. In general, the slower the reduction, the easier it tends to be on the body. Rule 2. Adjust as needed. There is no universal taper that fits every person. Different body, different history, different dependence level, different response. Rule 3. The goal is not to feel great. The goal is to avoid getting sick. That means during a taper, you are not using to feel high. You are using only enough to prevent withdrawal from crashing in. And Rule 4. Bring in accountability. If discipline is shaky, do not rely on willpower alone. Have someone you trust control the doses and give you only what your plan allows. A taper works best when it is written, specific, and protected from impulse. A faster taper can still be better than going cold turkey. Reducing week by week is still a major improvement over a cliff drop. But a slower taper usually gives the body more room to adapt. And that matters, because smaller reductions mean less shock, and less shock often means less suffering. A longer taper also gives you time to build the rest of the plan: movement, hydration, protein, sleep preparation, time off, and emotional readiness. Here is the mindset to remember. Do not chase speed at the cost of stability. A fast finish sounds heroic, but a stable finish is usually smarter, especially if your goal is not just to stop, but to stop and stay stopped. So write your taper out, make it concrete. Know what you are taking, know when you are reducing it, know who is helping, know what happens if symptoms rise. Vague plans are fragile, precise plans survive pressure. Tapering is the backbone, but body support is what helps you carry the experience better. Do not wait until you feel wrecked to start supporting your body. Start around the point where your taper begins to produce symptoms. Or at the latest, use the final stretch before the taper ends to prepare more aggressively. The idea is simple. Get your system ready before symptoms peak, and keep supporting it after the acute phase when low energy, poor sleep, stomach issues, and low mood can still linger. That post-acute window matters. A lot of people focus only on the first crash, but the drag afterward is where many people get tempted. So think in phases: before, during, after. Your support plan should cover all 3. During withdrawal, your body can feel flat, heavy, sore, agitated, and emotionally raw. That is why movement matters. Not because you're trying to train hard, not because you're chasing fitness records, because movement can help your system produce its own feel-better chemistry. Walking, jogging, swimming, yoga, weight training, anything realistic that gets your body moving. And here's the key. You do not need perfect workouts. You need useful movement. Even a long walk can change the state you're in. It can lift mood, ease mental pressure, help sleep later, reduce pain, boost energy, and remind you that your body still works for you, not just against you. That psychological effect is huge, because when withdrawal narrows your world down to discomfort, movement interrupts the spiral. It gives you action, and action restores a sense of control. Now let's talk food, because this is where a lot of people sabotage themselves without realizing it. When you are detoxing, you do not want to run your body on junk, sugar spikes, and random snacking. You want steady support. A high-protein approach is a major part of that. Protein gives you amino acids, and amino acids help support the chemistry your brain and body rely on. So aim for real protein multiple times per day. Turkey, chicken, fish, beef, cottage cheese, protein shakes if needed. Keep it simple, keep it consistent. Hydration also matters. Drink water all day, and have electrolytes available. Fresh fruit can help. Vegetables matter. Healthy fats matter. Whole foods matter. Now here's what makes the plan cleaner. Reduce or eliminate sugar-heavy foods, processed foods, refined carbs, alcohol, and caffeine. This is not the time to create extra chaos. You want fewer swings, not more. Feed recovery. Do not feed instability. One of the smartest things you can do is clear your responsibilities before the hardest phase begins. If possible, give yourself a full week with no major obligations. If that is not realistic, create at least several days where your schedule is light and your demands are minimal. Detox takes bandwidth, physical bandwidth, mental bandwidth, emotional bandwidth. If you stack withdrawal on top of work stress, errands, social obligations, and decision overload, you make the process harder. So simplify the battlefield. And a few days before the full jump, shop like you're preparing for a controlled recovery week. Because once symptoms rise, you do not want to be running errands. Stock hydration, stock comfort, stock easy food, stock symptom support, stock sleep support. Create an environment that feels soft, safe, and manageable. Not sterile, not chaotic. Prepared. Because the more decisions you remove in advance, the more energy you save for getting through the actual detox. Let me show you what structure can look like on a detox day. Wake up, drink a large glass of water, then move. A long walk, a jog if you can handle it, a swim if that's available. The point is not performance, the point is activation. After that, hydrate again. Eat breakfast, something simple, something with protein, a smoothie, a sandwich, a shake, whatever your body can tolerate. Then use heat. A long hot bath can help ease that tight, aching, restless feeling that so many people struggle with. Then put on the most comfortable clothes you have and lower the pressure. Watch something positive, something uplifting, something that gets your mind out of symptom obsession. Later, eat lunch. Prioritize protein again if you can stomach it. Then keep the rhythm. Support, comfort, hydration, nourishment, distraction, and rest. That rhythm matters because detox feels endless when the day has no structure. But when your day has defined blocks, you stop asking, how am I going to survive all of this? And you start asking, what is my next step? That is psychologically easier. And when something is psychologically easier, it becomes more doable. Evening is where a lot of people lose control. Pain feels louder, restlessness rises, sleep anxiety starts. So protect the evening on purpose. Move again if you can. Even another long walk can help reset the body. Hydrate, use another hot bath, eat dinner, keep it simple, keep it digestible. Then start lowering stimulation. Reduce bright light, reduce screen exposure, reduce noise, make the space darker, softer, slower. If calming tea helps, use it. Then do something grounding. Journal, read, reflect. Your evening routine should feel like a descent, not a collision. And one more point, be careful about falling into the online spiral. Random forums, random comment sections, random advice from strangers who do not know your situation. That can make things worse. When you already feel vulnerable, conflicting advice creates more fear, more doubt, and more panic. So narrow your inputs, stick to your plan, stick to what you prepared. Stick to what is calming, structured, and useful. Getting through the acute phase is not the whole fight. The real challenge is what happens next, because after the worst symptoms fade, the temptation can come back. Sometimes not as drama, sometimes as a whisper, just once, just to feel normal, just to get through today. That is the danger zone. So whatever helped you during detox, keep using it. Keep exercising, keep eating clean, keep hydrating, keep journaling, keep feeding your mind with something constructive, and remove easy access. Delete numbers, cut off the supply line, make relapse less convenient. Also understand this, the weeks after detox can still feel uneven. Energy may be inconsistent, sleep may not be perfect, mood may fluctuate. That does not mean you are failing. It means recovery is still underway. Do not measure success only by how you feel on one rough day. Recovery is not instant relief, it is gradual restoration. So be patient without becoming passive. Stay active in your recovery. And if this video helped you, subscribe to Keto Fito Libido. Comment the word reset if you want more content on recovery structure, discipline systems, and rebuilding your life with clarity and control.